It's a no-brainer. You don't have to follow the status quo of what we're used to, of trading your time for money. We trap ourselves in situations because of our mindset. Hey dreamers and purpose seekers, welcome back to another edition of Work on Your Purpose. I'm TL Talks. This channel is for aspiring entrepreneurs just like you to help you build your confidence to start creating your business and work on your purpose. I got a question for you, and I want you to be honest with yourself. Do you believe you have a wealth mindset? For me, it took me a long time to really become aware that there was a certain type of mindset to become wealthy, right? My parents, they weren't raised in a wealthy environment. They were raised middle class. And that's what I learned under, right? And a lot of us are taught under the umbrella of the middle class mindset, where we go to school, get an education, we get a job in a field of interest, or start a career in an industry of interest, and we just run the mill. We go to work, we make money, we pay bills, we try to save, and hopefully one day have enough for retirement, right? That is the typical mindset for most middle class. Now, I'm not knocking the middle class because I'm part of the middle class. I was born and raised in a middle class family. So I get it, I understand. But I was beating my head against the wall for so many years, just trying to chase after a job. I was thinking that I had to put all my time and effort into working just to earn money for my own financial survival, the economic survival, this beast where we have to go and pay bills, and we have to find something that we need to do in order to make money. And school teaches us to get our education so that way we can be highly qualified for a potential position somewhere, right? All with the hopes of not getting laid off, right? We want to make sure that we land a good job after going through all this process of going to school, and we find a job that we can really retain and not worry about being laid off, right? So that's just kind of like the mindset, things that are inside the mindset of someone who has more of a middle class mindset, right? Well, I learned that there was a different way of seeing things, and I want to share that with you today. First, that thing that changed everything for me was I started reading more. I read more books. And thanks to platforms like YouTube, I was able to research and watch some videos that help promote a more wealthier mindset. So I was exposing myself to this different way of seeing how I go about making and earning money, right? My whole view was changed. What I'm going to say today is not going to be anything new that you haven't heard already. Maybe it's that little bit of a nudge that you need to help you transition from your current mindset to building a more wealthier mindset, so that way you can create the dreams, the life that you really want for yourself and your business. It may feel uncomfortable thinking about being wealthy because it's something that you just never believed in, right? Maybe you just haven't thought about building a wealth mindset because either one, you didn't know it existed, or two, you just didn't believe that you could ever be wealthy. And if that's the case, the purpose of this video is to see it a little differently, just a little challenge to see if you can challenge yourself to start thinking about these things a little differently based off of some of the things that I share with you today. When you win, I win. All right, so it's time to win together. Let's go ahead and get into it. Building a wealth mindset. I read once that average people think they have to trade time for money. Average people think that they have to trade time for money. But the wealthy trade ideas for money. I'll say it again. The wealthy trade ideas for money. So you have on one end of the stick, you have the average people who they think they have to trade time for money, and then you have the wealthy people who trade ideas for money. So have you ever heard the phrase, time is money? That was something that I always heard growing up. With time is money. Don't waste time because time is money. So I always thought that in order for me to make money, it required me to trade my time in order to receive some dollar value, right? And so that is one of the fundamentals of middle class mindset, is that we have to trade our time for money. But the biggest misconception in this is that trading your time for money, you're limited on the amount of time that you have in order to exchange it for money. So that's one limitation there, is that you're limited on how much time you can spend, right? So another misconception is that you have to spend your entire adult life laboring and spending most of your time working just for your economic survival. The holiday season is here, and a lot of us are working overtime. We're working in between the holidays. We're trying to get all that holiday pay. We're trying to make sure that we spend more time at our jobs so that way we can earn more money to bring home to our families. Now, while this is a responsible way of living, because you do want to make sure that you make enough money to pay your bills and to take care of your family and yourself, but at the same time, you're trading something that's limited for money, right? So you can't work 24/7. You may want to, you may try, but the reality of it is that it's not sustainable. Like, you can't do that for the rest of your life, just work 24/7, right? Who wants to do that anyways? So when I started thinking about this, I was like, man, that's so true. There's something else about wealthy people that I just didn't understand. Now, when I'm talking about wealthy, first, you have to define what wealth is for you. What wealth is for me is different for what wealth is for you. Okay, so if you don't even want to be wealthy, if that's the case, you can make that life choice for yourself, and that's perfectly fine. It's your life. You live it the way you want. But when it comes to your family, when it comes to being able to experience things that you've never experienced, when it comes to moments where you need money, you need access to cash to be able to pay for a certain emergency expense, or to be able to have certain things that you need, is money not an issue then? Is there a way for you to avoid that happening again without being wealthy? Well, I'm sure you could find some answers to that question and prove me wrong, that you can still be able to accommodate those things and not be wealthy. But my question to you is, why limit yourself? Why limit yourself? So I'm challenging you to think about it for just a second. I'm not saying that you're wrong for not wanting to be wealthy, but why would you not really want to be wealthy if you knew that you could do anything, you could experience anything that you wanted to without it being an issue or a headache or a second thought? Wouldn't you want to do that for yourself and for your family? If not, that's fine. The issue that I had for myself was the mentality behind thinking like the average person, that I had to trade time for money. This mentality is because of how we've been conditioned in school and by people in our environment who have a similar level of consciousness surrounding money in the middle class, right? It's something that we've grown up hearing, that we've seen in our families, like how they operate when it comes to earning money. And we take that on as an adult and try to reproduce it. Now, some of us stop and question it and try to poke holes in it and find ways to make sense of it, or to find another way. And some of us just accept it for what it is and just accept it as it is and don't expect for it to change, right? But it's all in the mindset. So it's the mindset that I was really intrigued by, and I wanted to test my mindset to see how I could push it to the limits, to align more with a wealthier mindset. And that's what I'm going to share with you today in this video. First, I had to really do my research and find out how wealthy people think. So one of the first people that I went to is an author by the name of Stephen Siebold. He wrote the book How Rich People Think. And I totally changed the game with my mindset after reading this book. Now, I'm not getting paid to endorse this guy or this book, but I will say that it was really helpful for me. I'll put a link in the description below for the book, and you can check it out for yourself. But I think it's a great book, a great read. It's something that you should definitely look at. Before I go into building a wealth mindset, the first thing to understand is the fundamentals. To have any type of mindset shift or transformation, it's important to understand this basic principle. And that is that your thoughts, behaviors, and emotions influence each other. That's right. It's important to really understand what you're thinking, because what you're thinking affects how you feel and how you act. And how you feel, that affects how you think and how you act. And then what you do as a result, your behavior, that also affects how you think and how you feel. It is this very foundation that if you build your awareness around each of these influencers, you'll understand how to make different choices. You'll be able to identify the influence and what it's doing, how it's affecting each part, which ultimately affects how you view, how you see, how you act, how you navigate through the world. And when it comes to building the mindset of having a more wealthier mindset, you'll notice that there are certain limited beliefs that you have, or certain negative beliefs that you have surrounding money that need to be addressed. And the way that we address these things is we first identify them, write them down, challenge them, and then reframe them and take action. Right? So identifying how you think, that's just sitting in a quiet space, or just paying more attention to what's going on inside of you at any given moment, what's going on in your mind, what's going on in your body, what's going on in your feelings, right? Observing these things, and I always suggest writing them down, because I don't know about you, but I have a million things going on in my mind. Some things I forget, and some things I get confused about if I don't see it written down. So for me, it's the visual that helps, one, take it out of my mind and physically put it on something else. And the visual cue, the representation of it, it helps me see it, and it becomes more real. I acknowledge it more. I become more aware of it. So that's just my process of identifying things and then writing them down. So what you identify is your thoughts. How is that affecting your mindset currently? Do you have a wealth mindset? What are your thoughts about wealth? What are your thoughts about middle class views or being poor? It's important to understand what thoughts you have, because your thoughts, repeated over and over again, they become beliefs. And the beliefs that you have drive the way that you think, the way that you act, and the way that you feel. So it's important to understand that before you start any type of mindset shift. So identifying your thoughts, writing them down. Then I said to look at how you feel. So how do you feel? How do you feel? How is, in this moment, when you think about wealth, how does it make you feel? Are you focused on scarcity and lack of not having enough money or losing money? Or do you have more of an abundance mindset where you feel like there is an endless resource of earning potential and income? And how does that make you feel? Like, do you feel good about it? Do you feel stressed about it? Do you feel uncertain about it? What are your feelings surrounding money? And write those things down. Again, it's good to have that clear picture, that visual representation, to take it out of your mind and put it on the paper. Next, look at your behaviors. What are your behaviors surrounding money? And how does that influence your thinking and your emotions? Identifying that and then writing it down. So that way you have that clear picture, getting it out of your mind and on the paper so you can see it. It becomes more of your awareness and your consciousness, right? Once you have all of this and you've started getting into the process of being more aware of what's going on with inside you, the next thing is to look at these things and start challenging them. So some of the beliefs that you have about money, if they're negative or limited beliefs about money, what can you ask yourself to challenge it? So you may say that, oh, I believe that money is hard to come by. So the way that you can challenge that, because that's a negative belief, it's also a limited belief, more so limited than negative, but it's a limited belief. And you can challenge that by saying, well, where does this belief come from? You could ask yourself, is there another way to see this? Is this belief really true? You can start challenging some of the things that you say or that you think about money. Next is to reframe. Reframe by changing your perspective, by looking at your thoughts and your actions and your emotions and reframing the negative things and the limited beliefs that you have, changing those things so that they fit into alignment with what you really truly want to think, what you really want to feel, if you really want to, what you really want to do. You want to reframe these things by telling a different story. So if you have a belief that money is hard to come by, then a way to reframe that is to look at it and say, no, money is easy to come by. I can earn money through my own creative thoughts and ideas and talents, skills, and efforts. You could say that I no longer have to just trade time for money. If you have feelings of unworthiness when it comes to money, you can reframe those by intentionally feeling good about being wealthy, to actually feel the energy that wealth brings, the thought of wealth, right? Just alone, how does that make you feel? Like when you're excited and you see yourself having it, what is that feeling like? You can have that feeling now. The misconception about emotions when it comes to any goal, anything that we want to achieve, especially when it's a mindset shift, we believe that we have to have the thing that we desire, the thing that we want, in order to feel good. So it becomes conditional, right? So we believe that we have to have what we think we want, what we really want, feel we want, in order to feel good about it. But that is, there's a hole in that, because there's just a slight chance that that thing may never come. And if it doesn't come and your emotion is dependent upon that thing happening, when you're going through the process of trying to make it happen and it doesn't happen along the time frame that you think it's supposed to, and your feeling is conditioned upon how this thing manifests or when it manifests, then what do you do then? Most people get depressed. They give up, right? They start to doubt themselves, the process. You don't have to wait for the thing to come in order to feel good. You can start feeling good in order to get the thing and on your way to getting the thing. And matter of fact, that's the way that manifestation works. Manifestation starts off as a feeling. It starts off as a belief, a feeling, and turns into a behavior. That was one of the most powerful things that I had to learn. The last component to this is your behavior. So you want to reframe your behavior. What does that mean? That means choose a different action. Do something differently. You know, they say that insanity is repeating the same thing over and over and over again and expecting different results. And I gotta be honest, sometimes I've done that. Like in the past, when I was not aware of my thinking and my emotions and my behaviors and how they influence each other, I was just doing the same thing over and over again, thinking that, oh, it's going to change, it's going to change. No, it doesn't. It doesn't change until you change it. And you may be looking at me and saying, well, duh, I know that already. So, okay, don't knock me because I didn't know, right? At the time, I was just in that hamster wheel, just spinning my wheel. And kudos to you if you figured it out, because a lot of people get stuck there. But my whole point to this is that your behaviors are just as equally important. So you want to make sure that you look at any behaviors that aren't serving you well when it comes to money and how you view wealth, and look at ways to reframe them, to change them, so that way they can align with more positive feelings about wealth, more positive beliefs about wealth, more abundance-based thinking when it comes to wealth. And the last thing that I'll say before I go into this is that it's important to develop an unshakable belief that you are worthy enough to be wealthy and to have anything that your heart and your mind desires. Embrace that belief and cement that into the very foundation of having a wealthy mindset, or having any type of mindset towards anything that you want to accomplish. That is the foundation that will propel you to success. A lot of people don't get that. Earlier I said average people think they have to trade time for money. But what do the wealthy do? Well, wealthy people trade ideas for money. They come up with creative ideas. They think of solution-based ideas like products and services. They put them on the market, they test them out, and people who buy them, it helps them build their wealth. And they put the time and effort up front with the hopes of pulling away from it and allowing it to do its own thing, right? So prime example of that is coming up with the right idea and arguably at the right time. For example, the pandemic was a really good example of this. We saw a spike in the purchase of PPE, specifically face masks, right? We needed them. They were mandatory and there were limited supply. So people put their creative hats on. They started coming up with ideas to create customized masks and started to sell them. And they were selling like hotcakes, right? People were buying them off the shelf because they came up with a creative idea. They put the time and effort up front. They did what they had to do to establish it, to get it going. They launched it, and it takes off and does its own thing and allows them to pull back just a little bit more and more until it just does its own thing automatically. So they then find a way to automate the process. So it's creative thinking. It boils down to creative thinking. So instead of looking at spending your time for money, you could look at trading your ideas for money. And that will put you on the path of building wealth for yourself. And when you automate your process, you can create passive income. That's money that you don't even have to do any work for. It just does it on its own. It generates that income for you. Most people would rather be entertained than to invest in themselves and their future beyond their job. So some people just get so complacent, so comfortable. They got a job and they are settled in that job, but they want to make more money. And instead of finding another creative way of earning money, they think that they have to not only trade more time, but also have to put in more work, more effort into earning their money. And there's nothing wrong with wanting to put all your time and effort into something that you do for a living. There's nothing wrong with that. There are other ways that you can go about it, and you can build wealth in the process. So instead of being entertained, wealthy people start investing in their time. They start investing with their money. They start investing into ideas that can create more wealth for them. All right, so instead of sitting at home watching reality TV, if you're not where you want to be right now with your business or with your mindset about creating your business, then it's time to spend more time investing in you, doing more self-reflective work, hiring a life coach to help you through some of these challenges. Going on YouTube, watching videos to get more resources, right? Instead of sitting in front of the TV watching a reality series and wasting time. We talked about time was a precious commodity earlier. It's something that's limited. You don't get time back. You can get money back. So if you invest in a really shitty idea and you spend this money and it's gone, you can make that money back. But if you spend more time, helping someone else build their dream and you have your own dream and you're not building it, you don't get that time back. So shifting the way that you view time and how you use it, and also how you use your ideas to create money, is going to be a very big difference in how you experience and live your life going forward. Some people would rather have expensive materials like diamond rings and nice shoes and clothes that cost more than their rent, right? People go out and splurge. They spend more money than what they bring in. Now, I'm not a financial advisor by any means, but at Economics 101, that doesn't make any sense to spend more than what you're receiving in. And some people would rather have these expensive things to feel good rather than investing in liquid assets like stocks or bonds. For example, I have an iPhone, and it dawned on me, why don't you buy Apple stock? Because if you got the product, you believe in it, why aren't you also investing in it? So the things that you use the most, maybe there's some stock available that you can invest in for your future. Now, like I said, I'm not a financial advisor. You invest in what you think is the right investment for you. But to me, it just made sense. It was just like, yo, what are you doing? Like, you were so busy on the consumer side that you weren't on the investment side, and you want to build wealth for yourself. How are you going to build wealth for yourself if you're not thinking like an investor? If you're not thinking like a wealthy person, you're going to stay broke. You're going to struggle until you shift your mindset, because it's all about what you believe. Remember how I started this? It's all about that cycle. The cycle of what you think affects how you feel, and how you feel affects what you do, and what you do affects how you think, and it just kind of goes around. They influence each other, and it can go in any direction, right? I don't want to make you dizzy, I'm making myself dizzy. But you get what I'm saying. So it's important to understand how those things influence all of your decisions, right? When it comes to money and how you go about earning money. Now, with technology being so advanced and there's more ways to work from home, it's a no-brainer. You don't have to follow the status quo of what we're used to, of trading your time for money. You can trade your ideas and reach more people online than you could ever before in the past. So now's the time to really become the entrepreneur that you are built to be. I know it seems foreign, it seems kind of scary, but you got this. There's no reason why you can't do this. Most people find a job that they just tolerate. And then they worry about being fired from this job because they need money, right? So they just go, it's like, I'm so guilty of this. You go online, you go to some job search site, and it's like throwing darts at the wall, right? Wherever it lands, that's what I'm going to apply for. And that's a horrible way of approaching doing something for money. Like, because now you are putting yourself in a situation where you will become a slave to this job. And even more so when you don't have a backup plan, when you don't have money invested somewhere else or time invested in somewhere else that could also produce income. And that's part of the problem for some people who have a middle class mindset and aren't thinking outside that bubble. They're thinking about trading time for money, but they're not focused on doing what they love and using their creative thought and creating multiple streams of income. So they're dependent on one job, one income source. Let's talk about this scenario, right? So here you are, and this is a hypothetical. You throw a dart at the computer screen, right? Not literally, but you just basically randomly pick a job from some job search site. You apply for it, you interview for it, you get the job. And you know deep down inside that you just can barely tolerate this job, but bills are due. You've got your own mouth to feed. You may have family that you have to support. So you do what you have to do and take the job. There's nothing wrong with that at all. The problem becomes when you are worried about losing a job, you're worried about making more money, you're worried about not being where you want to be, you are feeling frustrated because you hate this job and you know that there's something else that you'd rather be doing. You may not be able to completely identify it, but it's eating at you. So now you've put yourself in a place to where it's like upstream. You're running upstream, right? You're running upstream. Sometimes we put ourselves in situations all because of our mindset. We trap ourselves in situations because of our mindset. Wealthy people, what they do is they find what they love and something that they feel passion for. And that fuels their efforts. And they use that fuel to continue to push forward. I have this t-shirt on that is something that I created that says, "A dream is what you visualize and think about all day. But passion is something you feel that will drive you to create your dream." And that was a quote that I came up with a few years ago, right? And put them on some t-shirts. I tried to launch a t-shirt business. So passion drives you, it fuels you. And wealthy people look for the things that they love and feel passion for, that they can connect with a talent or some kind of skill that they can find ways to earn money with. And again, the really smart ones, they automate that process and wash, rinse, repeat, and it goes, right? And that's building the wealthy mindset in a nutshell. So shifting your mindset from time-based and labor-based to creative thinking based that produces products and services can help you accumulate wealth. And of course, there's other methods. You can, invest in real estate. You can invest in liquid assets, like I said earlier, stocks and bonds and whatever, other options that are out there for you that you're interested in. Now let's talk about some techniques that you can apply that help you change your mindset right now. Okay, first thing that you can do is spend 5 minutes a day, at least 5 minutes a day, just brainstorming. Think of new ideas that can help you earn money for yourself that's outside of your job, right? Sit down, think of some ideas, and what you want to look for are problems that you can solve that are attached to a passion or a talent or skill or even a hobby that you currently hold that you do. And think of creative ways that you can create money sources coming in that are outside of the job. Next is to start going through an extensive introspective process, right? So this means really digging deep about who you are, what's important to you, understanding what your current strengths and weaknesses are, uncovering what some of your beliefs about money and earning money, about your job, looking at limiting beliefs, negative beliefs, and identifying those things. And then once you identify them, challenge them. Challenge it by asking, is this belief really true? Is there another way that I could look at this situation or view this process or view how I earn money? There's always an alternative. So don't allow yourself to get stuck in one way of seeing things, perceiving things, thinking about things, or doing things. Try to be open to the possibilities, because that's what it's about. It's all about the possibilities. Be open to the possibilities. Next is to identify what skill or hobby that you enjoy, that you already do, that you repeatedly, habitually do, right? And is there any way within that you can create a side hustle or side income for yourself? Something that can supplement some of the money that's coming in and going out, right? You want to make sure that you set yourself up with multiple income streams. That's one of the tricks of the wealthy, is finding ways to create assets, use those assets, create leverage, and buy more assets so that way you can build your wealth. You could start by looking at your skills, talents, hobbies, and look for ways that you can use that as a way to give back to others, to provide a solution to someone else's problem, right? So if you're a graphics design artist, then maybe you can consider selling your graphic designs. There's plenty of ways to do that. Fiverr's one. I use it. I think it's great. It's a great opportunity for freelancers to showcase their work and to get some business going for themselves. If you create music like I do, I create tons of music. You can set yourself up so that way your music can be used in videos and online for different social media platforms. So that's another way that you can bring in some additional income and build your wealth. You could be a photographer. You can go out and take pictures for people or make something of value better. You can take what's already been done and find a way to improve it to make it better. There's so many ways for you to build wealth for yourself, but it really truly does start with the mindset. You have to start changing your mindset so that you get out of this time-based, labor-based way of earning money to focusing on a more solution-based, creative thinking-based way of serving a particular market and building your wealth that way. And then again, there's also stocks and real estate. And there's maybe some other things that I'm not even aware of that I haven't mentioned. But it starts with that mindset. So make sure that you continue to work on your mindset. Become aware, super aware. You want to build your awareness around how you think, how you act, and how you feel, because that's going to drive everything, right? And find that passion. Find your purpose. Understand the value you bring to the world and the value that you bring to yourself. Use that as leverage, use that as motivation to create your business, because there's someone out there waiting for you. There's always someone who's going to be waiting for you to show up for you and for them, right? So you want to make sure that you are working on your purpose, do the things that you love to do, and find a way to create a lifestyle from it. There's nothing wrong with that. And being wealthy, it just gives you the tools. It gives you everything that you need to help you succeed and thrive, right? So you want to make sure that you're being the best you and that you are finding ways to be the best you. As an entrepreneur, I believe it's so important that you have a wealth mindset, and here's why. If you stick with a limited or lack-based mindset when it comes to money, then your business is never going to grow, because you're going to be afraid. You're going to make choices based off an old mindset. But as an entrepreneur, your potential is limitless. So keep that in mind as you pursue your purpose in creating a business. I wish you nothing but success and wealth in all of your ventures, and that you provide great quality service to your customers and serve the market with your idea. It's all about the way that you think, you act, and you feel, and all of that contributes to your success. Make sure that you subscribe, like, and comment, and share this video if you found value. Also, leave me a comment. I want to hear how you feel about this video. And also give me some suggestions on topics that you feel are relevant for you that will help you along your journey towards working on your purpose and creating your business. Until next time, I want you to keep pursuing your dreams and most importantly, work on your purpose. I'll see you later.